Have you ever seen something just incredibly rare? Like so unique it just grabs you?
Yeah, something that just stands out completely.
Exactly. Like think of a blue lobster. Apparently they're like 1 in 2 million rare. Super rare.
Wow. Okay.
But, sometimes those really unexpected kind of rare discoveries, they lead to amazing things, even in like craft production.
That's such a good analogy, actually. It's about spotting that unicorn, right? Maybe it's right there. You just need to, well, nurture it correctly, give it the right conditions so it doesn't just survive, but really, shines.
Yeah, finding that unicorn. And that idea, it perfectly tees up what we're diving into today.
Hmm.
We're going to get into the really fascinating origin story of Maine trees, their craft brand, and specifically their big hit, the blue lobster strain.
Yes, Blue Lobster.
And it's more than just, a plant. It's a great story, really, about how this like local passion project built on really solid values kind of grew into a serious player in the industry.
Definitely. And for our deep dive today, we're leaning heavily on this really insightful piece from Nug Notes. It's called Maine Trees, Blue Lobster Origin Story.
Okay.
And it gives us this great kind of insider look at their whole journey, their philosophy, and crucially, that moment where things really took off for them.
So what you're going to hear is how this like tiny basement operation, how it turned into a brand that people really celebrate for its meticulous craft and these amazing, unique flavors.
Right.
We'll dig into the choices they made that defined their quality, the kind of surprising genetics behind their most famous strain,
Yeah, Blue Lobster itself.
and how they built this really unique identity just by, well, sticking to their guns,
Mm-hmm.
staying true to their roots,
Mm-hmm.
get ready to really understand what it means to scale up carefully and cultivate something genuinely rare.
And what's really fascinating, I think, especially if you're thinking about starting something yourself,
Hmm.
Maine Trees didn't start with some grand business plan. No, it actually began like back in 2015 with a cousin's unused Instagram handle.
Seriously, an Instagram handle.
Yeah. Jesse Jordan, he's a Maine local, just kind of took it over and turned it into his personal grow diary.
Wow.
So it wasn't about making money right away. It was really just his own quest for, quality, good stuff.
That's such a really humble start, isn't it? Just documenting the process.
Absolutely.
And the source material, it talks about this initial phase, using terms like bagseed runs and garage lights.
Right. Yeah. For anyone listening, bag seed just means like random seeds you might find. Often you don't even know the genetics. And garage lights. Well, a pretty basic setup.
Exactly. Very DIY. It even mentions 12-foot outdoor trees at one point. It paints this picture of, just a local guy trying to grow some clean smoke, like one nice nug at a time.
It really shows how starting organically, authentically, can build a community around you even before you're like officially a business.
But how do you go from a personal grow diary to a proper brand without losing that initial spark?
That's the million-dollar question, right? And the source shows it wasn't like an overnight thing. It happened in stages.
Okay.
So in late 2021, Jesse Jordan, the founder, he made a really key move. He teamed up with a longtime friend, Mike Barris from Bees Trees, and also Owen, who became their operations lead.
Bringing him back up.
Exactly. And it wasn't just about getting more people involved. It was about bringing in different skills, different expertise that let them professionalize things, but still, protect that original vibe.
And it sounds like they did professionalize big time.
Yeah.
They went from those garage lights to a dedicated 150 light facility near Portland.
Yeah, 150 lights total. Their biggest single room holds 36 lights, which is still quite focused,
That's a massive step up, though.
Okay.
But what really comes through in the Nug Notes piece is that this growth wasn't just about getting bigger. It was driven by this core philosophy, taste over hype.
That's so key. That's where the craft part really lives.
Yeah.
Their whole approach involved these incredibly detailed, deep pheno hunts.
Which is like searching through tons of plants from the same seeds to find that one perfect version, right?
Exactly, that stand out. And they used stuff like room-coated bags to track everything precisely and live aroya dashboards.
Okay, what are those?
Sounds techie. They are sophisticated systems, basically. Real-time data monitoring every little environmental detail in the grow rooms. Humidity, temp, light, everything.
Wow.
So it's this mix of like super meticulous tracking, hands-on growing in these relatively small rooms, often using HPS lights.
High-pressure sodium lights. Known for being pretty intense, right?
Yeah, good for flower production. It all clearly shows their flavor-first priorities. They weren't just trying to pump out volume.
So it's like combining that cutting-edge data with a real old-school dedication to finding the best plant.
Precisely.
And the source really emphasizes that details matter, saying everything gets the hand-trim touch.
Which is huge. That's not just marketing fluff. Hand trimming is way gentler. It preserves those delicate trichomes, where all the good stuff, the flavor, the potency is concentrated.
Unlike machine trimming, which can kind of beat them up a bit.
Exactly. So that dedication to craft, like every single step, from the seed all the way to the sale, that's what really sets them apart.
Okay, so that brings us to the star, the blue lobster.
The main event.
Where did that come from? Was it one of these pheno hunts?
Well, yeah, essentially. The source says they actually found this particular gem in a compound genetics pack. Compound is a really well-known kind of high-end breeder.
Okay, so good starting material.
Definitely. It was specifically a cross of apples and bananas XI candy, and originally the label on the pack just said facade. Pretty generic name.
Facade, okay, not very exciting.
Not at all. But Mike and Owen, with their experience, their trained eyes, they looked past the name, they saw its potential.
What did they see?
They noticed its dark frost, like really resinous, its long legs, which refers to the flower structure, kind of elongated and dense, and what they called a new school GDP nose.
GDP nose. Like Granddaddy Purple, that classic grapey, pungent smell.
Kind of, but with a new school twist. So familiar, but also different, unique. They knew they had something special in their hands.
And that's when they decided facade just wouldn't cut it.
Exactly. That recognition led to the inspired renaming. They called it Blue Lobster, a direct nod to Maine's super rare 1 in 2 million crustacean.
Bring it back home.
Yeah, and they described it perfectly as the unicorn they caught in the dirt.
It's such a great image, right? Captures the rarity, the Maine roots, all of it.
That's brilliant marketing, but also sounds like it was genuinely fitting. And clearly, the name and the product, they landed.
Right.
Because in 2023, Blue Lobster made a huge splash at the first East Coast Zalympix.
Oh, yeah. The Zalympix is a big deal in the craft scene. It's invitational, super focused on flavor and quality, judged by real connoisseurs.
And Blue Lobster cleaned up.
Totally swept it. It won gassiest, meaning that intense fuel-like aroma and taste was off the charts. It won best terps for its amazing terpene profile, which drives that flavor and smell. And it even got runner-up for best overall. Wow. Gassiest, best terps, runner-up overall. That's massive validation.
Huge. Overnight, basically, Maine trees went from being this, respected cult local brand to an undeniable terp heavyweight. People suddenly knew who they were.
And that buzz didn't just stay on the East Coast, right?
Nope. That same summer, the crew took the Lobster out west to L.A. They threw a launch party with Astor Club NYC at Green Wolf, L.A., which is, a top-tier dispensary out there.
Bringing Maine to Cali.
Exactly. The source paints a picture: tacos, Maine-grown packs, and Cali heat. It says the Lobster had officially migrated west.
That's awesome. Proof that the quality translates, that it wasn't just local hype, it stood up on the national stage.
It's a real testament to that consistent quality they focused on.
So it sounds like they used tech, like those Aroya dashboards.
Right, guiding those HPS rooms with real-time data.
The tech isn't the secret sauce.
Not according to them, no. The source is clear. Tech's not the star. They credit the teams relentless work ethic, their tight eyes, meaning intense focus on every detail, and this palate-first mentality.
Palate first, so always thinking about the taste, the experience.
Exactly. It's flavor farming backed by data, is how they put it. Never mass-produced, always scaled with care.
And by doing that, the Blue Lobster itself became, the source calls it a signal.
Yeah, a signal. It proved pretty decisively that unique terps don't need hype. They need daylight.
Meaning if the quality, the flavor is truly exceptional, people will notice. It'll find its audience.
Right. It doesn't need a huge marketing machine if the product speaks for itself. And it really put Maine on the map in that scene, showing off their distinct approach, that cold water, hot crusher, clean execution style.
Almost like Maine's reputation for quality seafood, but for cultivation.
Kind of a cool parallel, yeah.
Okay, so let's kind of wrap this up. Thinking about the key takeaways from this deep dive into Maine trees and Blue Lobster. What really allowed them to become this signal?
Well, first off, those incredibly humble beginnings, right? Just a cousin's Instagram handle, starting with bagseed runs, garage lights.
Yeah, growing into that dedicated 150-light craft facility. It wasn't instant.
Not at all. And their success wasn't about, jumping on the latest trend. It was sticking to that taste over hype philosophy.
Which meant doing the hard work, those deep pheno hunts, the meticulous tracking.
Uh-huh. The hand trimming to preserve quality, always keeping those flavor-first priorities front and center.
And then the blue lobster itself, finding that gem in the compound genetics pack, initially just called facade.
Yeah, and Mike and Owen having the vision, the instinct to rename it, connecting it to Maine's 1 in 2 million crustacean, turning that unicorn caught in the dirt into...
Into a multi-award winner at the Zalympix. Gassiest, best terps, almost best overall, just huge.
And that whole blend, that cold water, hot pressure, clean execution approach, it proved that unique terps don't need hype, they need daylight. It really did put Maine on the map for craft quality.
Such a great story of sticking to your guns.
So thinking beyond just cannabis, what is this journey of Maine trees, from a local kid just wanting clean smork to becoming a terp heavyweight? What does it tell us about the real value of mixing craft meets precision in basically any industry?
Right. How can that focus on like community, on rarity, and having that palate first mentality, really tuning into what your audience actually values?
Yeah.
How can that create something more like a living ecosystem that just cuts through all the noise and really stands out no matter how crowded the market is?
It's definitely something to think about, isn't it? How genuine quality and focus can still win out.